Hello my friends, welcome back to the Mordor campaign. A lot of stuff is going on. A lot of stuff has happened off camera. First and foremost, I have recaptured Erebor. It is sort of a unceremonious capture of Erebor, but I figured we've done it once before. It took fucking forever, and not only that, the actual garrison within the mountain left the mountain, and Dwarf was able to sweep in, destroy the vast majority of them, turn around and besiege Erebor again because there were only 2 units inside the mountain. And that's crazy. I don't know why they decided to do that. It ultimately led to the downfall of their main base of power, basically. In an RP sense. Clearly, Azanulimbar Doom is actually the seat of power up in the northeast. Erebor itself, not so much, but we captured it, I sacked it, and we got about 30,000 gold, of which I have left 10,450, but the most amazing part is that Erebor is currently contributing 2,700 in tax, in trade, every single turn, and that has actually pulled us out of debt. So if I hold on to this 10,000 gold, we should be good. The main issue here is, as you can see here, this is where all of the cash for Imladris went. I built shrines in all of our new acquisitions, because if we look at the public order, all of the terribly unhappy people, I guess, like the office workers, the ones that are stuck in cubicles, rather, they all work in Framsburg, Dale, Hormarath's Folly. They have not yet embraced the truly... Oh, they're disillusioned. Yeah, that's the word I would use. They have not yet embraced the total freedom that, like, a anarchical society brings, even though there are hierarchies within the ranks of Mordor. I mean, there's no laws. You just go around, you know, vie for power, kill those who oppose you, drink some grog, I guess. These guys are still operating under the idea of capitalism, and that is making them most unhappy. Under a true communist socialist government, everyone is equal, everyone is happy. And that's currently where we're at. Now, so that's a large part of the gold, not nearly as large as all of the troll training facilities that I have built, specifically in the mountain fort. I decided to not build the one in Imladris for now, because technically we will have 3 spots to recruit Oleg High in the mountains. There's no use spending all of that cash to eventually, I think it's like 18,000 gold just to get to this point. Basically, Oleg High are the 3rd building within the chain, and it doesn't make much sense to me at this particular moment, especially when we have all of these places in our graphs. Not to mention Gundabad, possibly Litash, once we capture it. You never know. Speaking of Litash, and more importantly Coldfells, I attempted to build an army with Adunafel, but this is all I could bring, along with his complement of siege engines before Hormarath's Folly began to freak out. Mostly due to distance to capital, actually, but a little bit of cultural unrest. When it comes to Framsburg, Rakiburg, Dane's Halls, I really need to repair the barracks so that I may get the bonus due to law. That's going to make a big difference, and that is the primary reason all of our people are losing their shit in both of these cities. It's because the barracks is in disrepair. It's not destroyed, it's just in disrepair. You know, we have to like dust off some bookshelves, we have to straighten up the chairs all along the dining tables. Obviously, we have to clean up the wax around the candles as it's dripped onto the beautiful carved stone floors. It's just in disrepair, full stop. I I think, we're still besieging Thranduil's halls, and I think we'll continue that for a moment. That is a turn or two, and then we can eventually march to Worm Cove, because as far as I can tell, it is wholly undefended. The only army and the only force, really, the dwarves have is in Azandrilim Bardoom, which threatens all 4 of these settlements, actually, because they are all very weakly garrisoned, but I am still repairing, retraining, all sorts of buildings in the area just to ensure we're not getting blindsided, rather, as we continue onward. But once we kill Bolg by attempting to adopt him, we need to make a big decision. So I mentioned that I was going to try to hold on to this gold. Unfortunately, a large portion of it needs to be put forward because we need a new capital. As we can see, most everything in the north, it's getting pretty extreme, the unrest. 40% for Dane's Halls. I think it's fucking pretty big in Durwath as well. It's only 20, actually. That's not nearly as bad. My thoughts originally were that I wanted to make Woldburg or Tirith Anduin the capital, but that seems to be hardly worth it. I mean, we're talking Anorion, the region, the capital region, shares a border with East Emnet, so Woldburg would not be a very effective capital. Speaking of this, though, I'm not entirely sure how it is distance to capital is calculated. Is it just like a straight line drawn from settlement to settlement? Is it region-based? Hard for me to say. All I know is that Woldburg to Minas Tirith is not that far. Tirith Anduin is actually kind of a shitty city, and I don't think it has the prestige to become the capital. I mean, look at the income. It is nowhere near a Woldburg. It is nowhere near a Minas Tirith. Although, if we go just slightly further to the north, Caris Galadin, the previous seat of Galadriel, of Celeborn, Celeborn in Galadriel, it has a quite large income, especially compared to the regions around it, disregarding Moria, cough cough. And not only that, I think in the lore it has the prestige to become the capital. And you know what, to make my case Your Honor, to make the case a little bit stronger, I just want to point out, if you will look at Exhibit B, when we look at the landmass of Middle-earth, it is almost square in shape. Would you agree? This is... I guess I'm actually asking, like, the witness on the stand at the moment. Would you agree, Mr. Sinclair, that Middle-earth could be described as square in nature? And he would say, well, I suppose so. And he would say, then, would it be reasonable to say that Caris Galadin, near the very center of that square, would make an excellent capital? And they would say, well, you know what, that, I would have to agree. In this instance, you guys are the witness on the stand, and I am the, I guess the prosecutor. I don't know. This is my thinking. If we were to put the capital in Woldburg, Tirith Anduin, we would have to eventually move it as we continue to the west. I just think, like, if we take Lond Angren, Londare, and continue the trend to the north, and then to the east, we've now created a square empire, which necessitates a closer capital. And you know, we have the gold, we have the location. I think it's about time we just make it happen. Let's check our income. Projected treasury total, 1030, or rather, 10,400. There we go. And boom. New seat of power. Moving the seat of power to another settlement opens a new chapter in history. Okay, there it is. Okay, that has actually significantly increased our income. Amazing. It also, I hope, has significantly increased our public order issues. It really hasn't. These places are maybe less disillusioned, but they're still pretty upset, unfortunately. That's alright, though. I think a lot of these places were racked with corruption, that's for sure. And if we go to Minas Tirith, its income has not diminished that much. Corruption is a slight issue, but it's nowhere near what corruption was beforehand. Corruption and other, I think the vast majority of our income has come from this line item. Like, even Rakiburg, I think, is spending, or previously it was paying like 700 gold in goddamn corruption, and that is far too much corruption. Okay, we have successfully moved the capital. Dale seems to be appeased in this move. Man, I don't know, Karis Galadin. On the one hand, I think it is the best place to have put our capital. Alternatively, I could have put it in Dol Guldur. But then again, that's too far east. I don't know, I think Karis Galadin is the best, but even so, I still don't think it's... I'm not 100% happy. I'm like 90% happy, let's say that. Alright, let's check in on our armies. So, in the south, the Haradrim are getting even more sly. They have placed many Serpent Guard on the border, under the command of Captain Musab, as well as Kupten Umair. Here he is. It is a... oh god. It is an entire stack of Serpent Guard, dismounted or otherwise. There is not a single other unit in this army. Look at the fucking upkeep, 290. So if we were to do the math here, there is what? 1, 2, 3, 4... 4 units of mounted Serpent Guard, leaving 16 slots for dismounted Serpent Guard. 16 by 300 would be 4,800 gold in upkeep for one single army. That is even without the cavalry. So Harad is somehow making a shit ton of money, and I'm not entirely sure how it's happening. I can only assume... I mean, if we look at Anulon, the income is just not there. Also, they have yet to repair some of their buildings. I can only hope that the trend continues. I mean, if we look at the armies... Well, these ones are a little less extreme. But there are many armies of this description, just fucking full stacks of Serpent Guard. And I don't really know what the counter to that is. Aban is still on the border. I don't think... Lag the Watcher is still unchallenged. In the west, we have Lon Angren still under siege. 3 more turns. Homerath of Deer still besieging Londair. We need to get that dealt with within, I would say, 2 turns before Captain Kudmayathir arrives. Let's see, who's next? Akorahil is going to be stuck in Imladris for some time. Because their squalor is a huge issue here, and I almost feel like we should... I want to push the tax rates very high just to starve, or rather reduce the population. I don't exactly know what's going on there. Like, are people moving away? Who knows? But I need to reduce that squalor before he can move on. And I would like to build the shrines, but it's just too costly. We're going to have to garrison Hormraz Folly for a little while. Probably we'll have to do the same with Gundabad as well. Speaking of, 6 turns until that is dealt with. Thranduil's Halls is next on our list. It is 8 turns away from falling, and I want to put basically all of these sieges as... I want to put them off as long as possible because, man, trying to capture cities from dwarves, trying to capture them from high elves, bit of a problem. Although that only leaves us 100 turns to complete our objectives. It's really coming down to the wire now. I am definitely I'm spread far too thinly to actually be effective in any one region. That is my problem, especially in Dale. I am paralyzed here. And I need troops desperately. Apparently there's supposed to be mercenaries around here, but I kind of feel as if That is not the case. Oh gosh. Anyway, I think we ought to end the turn because there's dick all going on. Woo, shit. Turn 300. The AI turns are so fucking quick. Possibly because there's no one left. Okay, we actually finally got a new general. Shit, we're making like 4,000 gold per turn now. We could have an entire army of Serpent Guard for that. Alright, Gazdaf, where are you at? Edoras. Show me your face. Well, never mind. I was hoping I could just double-click, but apparently not. So, Gazdaf is a confident attacker, promising commander, generally loyal, and a knight fighter. So it looks to me like he is well on his way to become a general. Perhaps he can serve under Muslan the Honest. Muslan does not look to be a great general, but he's an even worse governor. Oh god, Bragdon. Bragdon has appeared on the scene. Oh god, we're just getting racked by banditry as well, and that's certainly not helping our income. Well, it's not really harming it either. Let's see. Is there devastation on here? No. Alright, relations improved with the Dark Lord of Mordor. Great. That's great. We have built some stuff in Gnir, the Goblin Town. We've repaired all sorts of goddamn shit. Radbag has false documents. Buzzbag has a troll. Good god. Okay, we are top of the charts across the board. Most excellent. Most excellent. So it looks like Captain Kundmayathir has actually formed a super stack.
I will only address you in
and he's still many turns away, so we can actually rest a while. And we don't have to worry too much about them attacking. Harad, on the other hand, is, yeah, just still building forces up on the border. Alrighty, we still need intel, so I'm gonna get as many spies as I can manage. As I can afford at this particular moment. They're very cheap, okay. Finally, our siege equipment has, well, one more turn and it will have arrived. That's ridiculous. Okay, we're going to need some reinforcements up in Dale, or are we? It looks to me like the dwarves are not hot on attacking us. Let's see, we could potentially get rid of a few units here. Can I maybe send these guys for retraining somewhere? Somewhere like, I think Bjorn's Halls has a army barracks, correctamundo. Alright, I think we can... Alternatively, we could send them into the fucking mountains. And I think we'll do that instead, because we could definitely use those forces for a Dunafel. And they're still happy. Let's remove some more garrison units. We'll take out these two guys, maybe. Okay, that has made them content. How about another one? Can we just... This is like pulling out Jenga blocks. How far can we push this? And apparently, we can now push it pretty far. I assume the same can be said for Dane's Halls. Yeah, there's a lot of public order and good faith here now. Let's merge some of these units. Can we take half of them? We can indeed. I want to send them to Dawn Death. There we are. Eventually we can retrain these Orc Band. Hopefully. It's going to be a couple of turns, but at the very least Rakiberg is coming along. I think the culture there is... Well, the culture there is great. You know, there's a good nightlife. There's plenty of theater productions, a couple operas, a nice like contemporary art scene as well. You know, you can go and see some abstract art, free of judgment as well, which is always excellent. Always a concern as well. Okay, we'll retrain in Moria because we will eventually need units there. I think we just retrained some Alak-Hai as well in Goblin Town. We could potentially give 2 units to Adunafel, but I think what we'll do is instead send these Alak-Hai up to our good friend Ren the Unclean, and perhaps he can ditch his mountain trolls if he's able. Now we have retrained rather a bunch of units in Karis Galadin, the capital, I'll have you know. And now we are able to push them into the mountain fort. And eventually they can rejoin the army of Akorahil, the blind sorcerer. Now let's just check our settlements tab again for public order. Gnird is by far, well, not by far, but it is indeed one of the most unhappy places in the entire goddamn empire. Dale, much the same, and I almost feel like I want to build this temple. The biggest issue here, I think, would be squalor, most definitely. Well, culture is a big problem as well. I'm going to build the temple. Why not? Dale is a big place, you know? There's a lot of people to convert, and you can't just force people to convert. You need to... Oh, this is interesting. For the first time in a long while, Minas Tirith has become unhappy. Oh, Minas Tirith, why are you unhappy? Why do you cry so? We will recruit a couple more units to defend the place. Let's see. Let's go Morning Guard. And Maulers. We can ditch the Orc Band eventually. We want some units that will do well garrisoning a city, but they will also do well on a field of battle if necessary. That is sort of my thoughts here. I almost think we need to build a proper barracks in places like Minas Morgul, or perhaps East Osgiliath, because this is going to become a front at some point, right? It's inevitable. Good lord. What's going on? What's going on? Litash, still held by the dwarves. Let us take a little sneak peek at Coldfells. It is garrisoned to the nines now. Narvi. Narvi the Gambler now taking up his post inside the city. Very bizarre. We're going to have Hormarath's chill, or rather Adunafel chill outside of Hormarath's Folly, which is no longer upset with their lot in life. What is certainly upsetting me, though, is the very fact that we do not have the culture to retrain units there yet. Alright, I feel like we can probably end the turn yet again. We are just passing the time until something happens, until we are able to move yet again. I think I definitely need some units on the border. Something to garrison Erebor, something to counter dwarves. I'm gonna go with halberds. Hopefully, now I realize I'm spending a bunch of gold, but I'm hoping that it's not going to put us into debt per turn. I think we're still making a couple thousand, so we ought to be fine. I can't think of much of anything else we need to do. Let's just ever so briefly check on our spies up in the Grey Mountains. I gotta say, I'm pretty pleased with my placement for the most part. I could definitely use a watchtower here. I don't think I have any generals nearby, though, unfortunately. Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm happy with all of my choices here, except for this motherfucker. Muzzug is instead going to... let's see. I think we have a pretty good line of sight from Azanulimbar Doom to Worm Cove. I don't really know. I don't know, we'll send him to the west for now. We have a spy in Gundabad. Where the fuck is... Oh, I see. Getting confused. I don't know where we are anymore. I don't know where I am anymore. We're in the Iron Hills. We're in Graham. Trollshaws. It's fine there. South Downs. Just north of North Tharbad. You know what? I'm just going to assume I'm happy with all of these guys. Alright, here we go. At this particular moment, it appears to me we're making, I don't know, 3,500 gold per turn, which is not a bad number. We can definitely play with that amount. When it comes to repairing buildings and whatnot, that's really all we need. Let us see, we have just drooped financially below the High Elves. Also, I think the High Elves, I think I just saw, became the most advanced faction, the assholes. We have some more shrines, most excellent, and of course a couple units. In the Mountain Fort, Moria, Karis Galadin, we have retrained in Arnak and Durwath. We've got some spies, so Zaglug is going to head on over. My thoughts here are that I'm gonna need every advantage I can get when it comes to this war. With Harad, I should at the very least have great intel, because then I can make some better informed decisions. I can see threats coming, I can form up to counter them, and oh look, it is Dennis Leary yet again. Our good friend and confidant, Dennis Leary in orc form. We still have basically no idea what's going on in the center of Haradric Gondor, but we are slowly piecing things together. Slowly but surely, my friends, we are putting things together. Now, Ufluk the Mean has received his forces. He's ready to rock. And we're doing pretty good when it comes to the Lond cities. One more turn until the High Elves surrender in Lond Angren. 5 more until they surrender in Londair. I see no issues here. The amount of time it's taking to actually besiege the places, that's a problem. And I'm not very pleased about that, but there's, in my eye, not much I can do. I feel like my hands are tied in this regard because, oh man, playing as Mordor, your units are not designed for capturing cities, especially when it comes to walled cities held by the High Elves, held by the Dwarves. As evidenced by Imladris, we very nearly ran out of infantry just trying to take the courtyard. So it is in my best interest if we sort of just take our time. The other issue here is a lot of these places require us to babysit them once we have captured them. Hold on, these guys were going to Goblin Town? Maybe? Yep. So it's, oh man, like our conquest and progress is slowed so drastically by these few factors, and it's not a great time for it considering the shape of the campaign, the objectives of the campaign. It's not great. Although it's, yeah, I don't know, the campaign's definitely doing well. I'm enjoying it still. I'm just recruiting these units to send on over to Gnird, which is 2 units shy of a full garrison, and that is probably why they're a little upset. in Deerwath. We're going to build, or rather recruit, some raiders, hopefully to appease the garrison there. Now in Talsir, we basically have nothing. There's no men here, or at the very least, very few. And I guess we'll just have to make it work. We'll have to make it work. Alrighty. Yeah, I don't really know what to do aside from just pass the turns and let these cities be besieged, essentially, which is incredibly it's not interactive in any way, shape, or form, and it's kind of dulling my buzz big time. You know, I just want to slay. I just want to slay from here until the end of time, and I cannot because my armies are so garbage. They're so garbage. Oh man, like, let's see. To remove the garrison, well, we could actually. We may very well be able to remove the garrison in Imladris. 100%. Okay, well, this changes some things. Now we have to pick a target. I almost feel like Coldfell's we should leave to Adunafell once he gets his army under control. And then we can get a Corahil to do some work on his own. Although I want to put some towers down before we get carried away. So let's follow the road. We'll put one up here. And we'll probably put one down here on the border, something like that. Just so we have better line of sight. Especially in the forest. We don't want to get ambushed by, I don't know, raiders, or rangers rather, of Eriador. I think maybe now would be the time to march south. It seems to me the Arnorians are having a really tough time with Isengard. And we may be able to do like a pincer attack out of Moria. At the same time, we swing down from the north. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Let's hire a spy. Is that necessary? We have Mahur. We have Yagmas. Let us forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about it. We don't need a spy. We also have Zagthak up here. We have Ugmaz, which is going to head north now to get a better idea of what's going on in whatever goddamn town this is. Amansul, which is not a town. It's not even really a fortress. It is the crumbled remains of a fortress, if you will. But I kind of feel as if we could... I mean, like, look at this. The Uruks of Isengard are besieging North Tharbad, leaving South Tharbad woefully inadequately defended. Austin Edel is being defended by, well, heavy archers, but mostly it seems to be militiamen. Aragorn has a mishmash rather, of troops. I feel that we could very much get away with heading south, garrisoning Imladris as much as we need to. Oh god, no. Garrisoning Imladris as much as we need to. Getting a Corahil, the Blind Sorcerer, to lead the men to the south. That's what we will do. Now, I neglected to mention this at the beginning of the video. I mean, this army's still in pretty good shape, right? Especially if we bring up some reinforcements from the mountain fort. For example, the Uruks, the Maulers, the Raiders. These guys can join. Maybe... No, these guys are not in a good place. They're really not in a good place right now. It's a very dark time. But anyway, I neglected to mention this, but at the beginning of the episode, many nations asked for a ceasefire. The dwarves wanted a ceasefire, the High Elves wanted a ceasefire, and finally, and most importantly, Arnor wanted a ceasefire, because it's really... The High Elves are putting up a resistance, but it is very much concentrated to the periphery of our empire. Arnor, not so much. We kind of share a long border with them, and they're threatening us directly in Moria. So it's very interesting to see them. I think we have them on the ropes, essentially, and they're trying to broker a peace. And I gotta tell you, not really into a peace treaty at the moment. Can't really say much for peace with Arnor. Alright, to conclude, we are still besieging Gundabad, and I may just put an end to this siege. There's very few men left, even, well, I don't know. Having said that, there's still 300 very heavily armored dwarves. 4 more turns until they give up. I don't know, it's a tough call. Tough call as to what I'm going to do there. Thranduil's Hall is much the same. All sorts of dwarves here. Iron Guard, Axemen of Erebor, that I really don't want to deal with, truthfully. 6 turns until they surrender. The dwarves in Azanulimbar Doom have yet to move. We are, I think we're safe in Erebor, but we definitely still need to send up some reinforcements just so we don't lose too many of these territories. In the south, Harad is getting very wise. We've got now 2 full stacks in position, and then like another stack between these 2 secondary armies. I'll probably capture Lond Angren off camera. Londair will still have to, I don't know, siege it down, starve out the elves until we are threatened by Captain Kundmayathir. And finally we will have our friend Akorahil head south, threaten Austin Edel. I assume Aragorn is going to try to deal with Isengard. That is my only assumption. But once we do this pincer move on Austin Edel, we can possibly then move towards Beirig, because that is very weakly defended. And then we will have essentially created a front along these rivers here. And depending on the actions of Isengard, we can go for Tharbad 2. Really begin weakening Arnor. Coldfell's, bit of a pain in my ass. I don't know when it is. Who is this? Adunafell. I keep forgetting. I keep wanting to call him Hormwrath just because this is Hormwrath's folly, but it's... I can't really say when Adunafell is going to be ready to march to war. We could get some support from Rakiburg. We could get some support from Goblin Town. And that will speed the process, I believe. In fact, let's see what we have now. So we need a couple of Uruks, I think. We've got 3 units. We need some Maulers, definitely. Maulers and Halberds at the very least. After all, we do have to deal with the dwarves, although we do not have enough to recruit Uruks in Goblin Town. We will go for Orc Maulers, though. That should help ever so slightly, and I think I want to send maybe another unit of garrison to Imladris, just for public order reasons, not so much actual defense reasons. We have to be careful though, because there's quite a large force of dwarves up here. Not that I would think they'll march south to capture Imladris, but it is indeed a legitimate worry. Anyway, everyone, let's end it here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I think things are running smoothly. We are now out of debt. We've got armies in position. Many cities and settlements are going to fall within the next couple of turns, the next couple of episodes. I can't wait. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I will see you all later.